if you're talking anything tech in 2025, it has to include data, AI, cloud, and all of that good stuff. And today, I have one of the best people to come break it down, a cloud sales engineer. If you don't know what that role even means, don't worry about it. We're going to get into all of that good stuff. I'm just really excited to have DJ Lewis on the call today. He also even has a fun name, DJ. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you for having me. Just excited, excited.
So, one of the things that I always ask is why did you choose tech as a career path?
Man, great first question. It's funny, man. I was at Georgia Tech, nuclear engineering major. Thought I wanted to go build power plants or be on a nuclear submarine. Thought about the lifestyle and I said, hey, it's really not for me. So hit up some of my big brothers. I'm in a fraternity. And I said, hey, I want to get into consulting. My big bro said, DJ, consulting is great, but what about sales engineering? And at that moment, I had to Google what sales engineering was. The rest is history.
Beautiful. And you touch on a lot of really great things that I almost want to break it down one after the other, right?
Yep.
So, first of all, how much on the cutting edge do you want to be, bro? Like you're doing that nuclear engineering now, you're on on cloud. Talk to me about that process, that mindset.
Yeah, I've always just wanted to be different, and I feel like I am different. So I'm pretty practical in the sense of nuclear engineering. Thought was really cool. I feel like we've tried to crack it, tried to harness the power of a nucleus for so long, and we still really haven't got to that next level yet. So I wanted to be part of that community until I discovered that I had to read about and learn about radiation physics, reactor physics, all these different topics that were just a little too deep for me. Shout out to Georgia Tech, their nuclear engineering department. Still love them. It's not for me. Glad we got through that chapter.
And I think it goes to something that I think is interesting, right? Because one of the things that I see a lot of people do, and I think there's a push and pull, right? Is one, you don't want to go in the wrong direction if you
Yep.
can get to the right path. But there's also something to just doing anything you can get your hands on right now, because it could eventually lead you to where you want to be. In your journey, what did that look like, and what advice would you give anyone who's also in that space, just trying to figure out what should I be doing?
Man, you that's some great questions, Joanne. So I'm a man of strategic risk, right? I'm somebody who likes to be hands-on, a kinetic learner, and I don't think there's any wrong path, to be frank.
Hmm.
I'm somebody who I want to try it, feel it out for myself. I ask my mentors, I ask some mentees, some colleagues what's going on. I don't go in blind. But from there, I make a strategic choice of, okay, if I'm going to choose a path, I'm going to go all in, learn as much as I can, really embrace it authentically, then discover if it's the path for me. And from there, I pivot accordingly. And I think another big piece is I'm not afraid to pivot, and I encourage people to pivot and try things because what I've learned is nobody knows the clear path.
Hmm.
Nobody knows exactly what to do.
Mm, that's such a great thing. And I think that a lot of people, have that crisis, especially young people. We're living in a period of like, people can't get jobs, it's so uncertain. There's just a lot of scary stuff going on right now in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you touch on was having, I don't know if it's like big bros or just people you could look up to, like your brothers in the fraternity. How
Yep.
important is it to have people in your corner who can give you a shout and say, "This is what you should be doing," or just give you the game essentially?
I can't emphasize enough how much networking and just real relationships have amplified and transformed my life. There's this African proverb that I love where it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I don't know when I heard it, if I was a kid, but it really just resonated and stuck with me.
Mm,
The conversations that we have in terms of our human connection, the experience when you can really talk to somebody, they don't judge you, they'll share the real deal. It's invaluable. So I wouldn't be where I am today in any capacity without really leaning into my big brothers, sisters, and former friends, colleagues, now family.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Junior. This is gonna be good for sure. It's gonna be good. Welcome to the stream.
What's going on, Junior? Thanks for joining, brother.
And one of the great things about, or the next thing I want to get into is also like in that decision to go the route of sales engineering and choosing the cloud specifically, what did that journey look like? Because if I'm paying attention, like they don't teach you the cloud in nuclear engineering. So how did you figure that part out?
They don't at all, bro. Shout out to Google. I work for Google now. Um, I had to go out and really just delve deep into different resources, such as the internet, Google, what have you. I started at IBM in their rotational program. So they call it Summit. And they kind of taught us these different areas within technology
Mm,
that IBM really specializes in.
mm,
One of them, the common thread that I always saw being pulled was cloud. Is
mm,
something that I like to break things down like, as if I'm in fourth grade, right? So cloud is just other people's computers using that computational and or storage power to get stuff done over the internet.
mm,
So I learned that cloud enables, and you started the podcast with this, enables the data, enables the AI. It's really the engine behind it all. So because I'm somebody who likes to take strategic bets, I said, let me be in a technology class that really touches every little piece and go from there.
mm. And it's also interesting. I'm gonna come back to this because like you connected the dots, and now you're helping people connect the dots. But we're gonna get into the role.
All
But
right.
going back to that original point that you say about finding and connecting to opportunity, you break it down, and I want you to maybe speak on it because I think again I get what you're saying, but I feel like
Yep.
people may not have pipped it.
Yep.
See, the journey into tech, it's like there's a lot of self work that you have to do, and it's funny like Google took
Yes.
you to Google, right? But you also have to lean on people. Help people
Yep.
separate out. Like, what can people do for you, and what do you have to do for you?
Oh, I love that, brother. So actually, this I'll start with self, and I'm a book guy, so I'm an avid reader. Shout out to Simon Sinek.
That's a
Start with
good one, by
why.
the way.
I'm saying, you know, I'm somebody who loves to start with self because the more you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, what really brings you joy, passion, and motivation, as well as your values and character, that's your starting point and that's your grounding kind of area. Whether it's faith, whether it's family, whether it's friends, you need that anchor in your life to come back and make decisions with yourself that align with you. So, Start with Why is a great book to start that out. I'll also call out a couple other books. Ikigai is really great. I'm not great with authors, but if you search Ikigai, it's a Japanese concept in terms of finding your purpose and living in your purpose and your why,
Mm,
as well as Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Would highly
mm,
encourage that read as well.
mm,
Um, they have great exercises and mind frames and frameworks in those
mm,
books.
mm,
So that's the first part of your question. Uh,
mm,
just starting with why. If you're a reader, podcaster, audible listener, choose whatever medium that you need, a journal, a
mm.
journaler. Um, you need to be able to flesh out your thoughts and be able to clearly articulate your why and your reason for being here.
Hmm.
In terms of your second part of your question,
Yep.
connecting with other folks, connecting the dots. My big thing is don't go in with intention,
Mm,
go in with authenticity when you're connecting with somebody, for example, and we can talk through examples of that. And always try to be a valuable resource to somebody else.
mm,
And I know that can be tough, especially if you're a young buck like myself, ourselves,
mm.
talking to some older folks, trying to get game, right? Trying to
Yep.
get it out the mud.
Yep.
They learn as much, if not more, from us as we
Hmm.
do from them. So
Absolutely. It's so beautiful what you just said, and I want to even break it down further because it's like, bro, we communicating on the same frequency, but
we're
I
here.
don't want them to miss it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, the advice I've given every single day, and like if y'all don't take anything away from what DJ's talking about today, just take that last piece away. See, to break an attack, it's a lot of things, but you can also boil it down to a few things. One, like you said, is like figuring out yourself. And you've said everything. I don't even have anything more to add, but I want to go to the why, which is
Yep.
interesting with the topic of the book. See, one of the things I wanted to do was become a software engineer. I'm not saying I wouldn't have made it if I went that route, but my chances of failure would have been extremely high.
Yep.
I realized that I have a gift for certain things. I love conversation. Maybe it's why I'm a podcast host, right? And maybe it's also why I'm a product manager. And there's an interesting trend I'm seeing now with AI. Do you know the role that's growing the fastest with AI? As product managers, one of the fastest growing roles. Because when technology becomes commoditized, people who can bring value together in an interesting way are the people that you need more because the code can be built a lot of times faster. But I'm not even saying that to talk up any role specifically, but to talk about you. You can still make it as a software engineer. You can make it as a sales engineer. But
Yeah.
the difference is this, right? Imagine you're introverted and someone puts you in a role like a sales role. Every single day you're going to be drained. But
Yes.
think about somebody who's a comedian in their real life and they choose to get a job in tech and then you make them a sales engineer. You literally just pay them to have fun.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And that's the part I didn't want people to miss out. It's like, what does that really mean? So lean into the things that you're good at. And interestingly, like you would have heard this from your friends, you'd have heard this from your family. People tell you, oh, you know what? You're really good with this, or you're really good with computers, or you're really
Yes.
good with numbers. So look inside of yourself. That's where the answers are. So, bro, you broke that down so well, bro. I love it. So let's go to the next thing. I want to go to the actions. So
Yeah.
you did the search, you did the research, right?
Yep.
You found the answers. Then what came next?
Yeah, for sure. So to your point, I just identified my strengths. If you're familiar with like Clifton Strength Finders, would highly recommend. That's a good starting point as well. I'm somebody who is a woo, somebody who loves to connect with other people. I'm an influencer.
Mm,
I'm somebody who's positive, loves connecting with people, extrovert.
mm,
So once I got that self validation as well as that external validation from folks
mm,
who have been in the game, then I asked, okay, what are some companies who actually have and need sales engineers? Good thing I discovered, anybody who has a product needs a sales engineer most of the time, right? So the list was fairly long. The
mm,
Googles, Microsofts, Amazons of the world, the IBMs,
mm,
the Dells, each and every one of these platforms and products needs somebody who can connect with people,
mm,
break down the technology, and
mm,
help decision makers solve their problems. So I started practically and just applied to IBM's rotational program. It is for undergraduates about to graduate. So some of you all might not fit that category. A lot of these other companies have apprenticeship programs like Google, like Microsoft. They also have uh, certifications, and we can get into which certifications I would recommend as well. But you
mm,
can get these hands on impact and applications just by doing a simple Google search. Once you
mm,
understand, again, your why, your reason for being here, what you're
Mm,
good at,
mm.
and what roles will make the most sense.
Y'all, please just drop some fire emojis in the comment, guys. Please, please, please. This is so good. This is so good, and I like how you've broken it down because again, speaking about the steps is those things: figuring out yourself, going out and finding the information, doing the research, as you said, even figuring out where does that role fit in. Because the difference is, let's say you choose like something like a ad buyer versus a product marketing manager. The difference could be one role has 2,000 openings where one has 200,000. So
Yeah.
even understanding the landscape, understanding the industry is so key because then you know where your opportunity surface area lies, right? Is this a niche role where, because that might even determine how you approach getting into that job. Do you need to
Yep.
go find a few people who are in the role and how they can put you on? Or could you go the application route? Like there's so many things. And that's where a lot of people I feel like I like miss out in that journey. But again, you're dropping a
Yeah.
lot of great game. And I think the most important thing, because it's kind of like starting from the end to the beginning, right? Like the goal is to get a
Yeah.
job. And I like how you keep giving that free game. It's like one, you could go the route of some sort of associate or some in product is called APMs, but I imagine that it's
Yeah.
something different for sales engineering. But there's also apprenticeships too. So it's
Yes.
like there's always an opportunity of companies looking to help people who may not have the skills. The crazy thing about sales engineering, because I one of my best friends is in that role, so I know a little bit about it, is you're basically the best of both worlds, right? You have to be a salesperson, meaning that like you can't just show up to calls and just say the API, the data layer. Like that's not who you are. But you have to know that.
Right.
And on the flip side, you also have to be able to speak to the right person in the language that they'll understand with a little bit of swagger. I see you got that.
Thank you,
so,
brother.
so tell me, how do you like? What did it look like building up those two skill sets to be able to shine and get to the place that you've been at?
Great question and great synopsis. So, the role itself, I like to simplify things again. It's advising typically decision makers, C suite, VPs of how to solve their business problems with technology.
Hmm.
And you're typically partnered with an account executive, a field service sales rep. They are the relationship builder and the business holder.
Hmm.
In the pre-sale cycle, talking about before you make a sale of any technology, you're the dynamic duo trying to get to the finish line of closing a deal. In terms of a sales engineer, the 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 role is in the name, right? So I like to say people can be a big S or you can be a big E, right? So
Mm.
some people really like the tech, the engineering. They like to be in the terminal typing things and side by side with the customer. They're a big E, right? And we really need strong sales engineers for these really technical questions. Other people, like myself, I say I'm a big S and I can be dangerous on the keyboard with the E, right? I like connecting with people. I like taking people out to dinner, mapping things out, breaking it down strategically to get things done. So, depending on, again, your strengths, what you enjoy to do, and I would encourage each and every one listening to this right now to just think about what would you do for free, right? What do you scroll on Instagram, TikTok? What do you really search for when you see some news come by? For me, it's technology and business, right? And my lady, she hates it sometimes. I wake up 3 a.m. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, did you see? Boom, boom, boom." That's why I'm a fairly good and competent sales engineer because I lean into my strengths. But think about that big S, big E, and I'll pause there, but I can talk about each pathway specifically, what skill sets make the most sense.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely want to dive into that right away. So, in terms of looking at both the soft and hard skills that it takes to be competent in both lanes, what should people really be thinking about as they're going into this?
Yeah. So I'll start with the soft skills or the big S, right? And I feel like these skills are very transferable, which is great in business. One is to be a good salesperson, right? How can you influence somebody to make a decision that requires financial backing, technology backing, organizational and leadership backing, right? So that's one thing. Um, Second big one, and part of that pie is to be a great storyteller, right?
Mm,
And I'm in grad school again now, so I'm all about, you know, communication and how do I really come across. Storytelling is a hidden human talent that we all need to continue to practice and increase, right? And you may ask, how do you do that? It's simple. Tell people stories. Tell your boyfriend, tell your wife, tell your grandmother about your day. A simple framework that I learned that I love to leverage in terms of stories is called SCAR, and it's similar to the STAR method. People are familiar. It's an acronym. The situation, you break down the context, what's going on, set the scene like a movie. C is for challenge or the issue or what's going on, right? What are you addressing? A is for the action that you take to address the C. And then R is just the rationale, right? The
mm,
recap, the resolution, what
mm,
actually happened.
mm,
So if you keep that scar in your mind and you leverage that, like what you eat for lunch today, boom, 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 that will take you a long way.
mm.
Um, I'll also say there's some great soft skills such as being able to present, and that falls in line with storytelling. Being able to empathize and really understand other people. So most of us, somebody asks us, "How are you today? What's going on?" We talk about ourselves, and in my opinion, for too long, you want to switch the script, have the other person to start talking, ask great questions like Joanne is doing right now to get them talking and really clarify and understand along the way, really listen to understand their point of view. So I'll stop there. Those are 3 to 4 soft skills, very transferable. You can practice today, they'll transform your life.
We gotta go straight to the hard skills next. But
Yes,
bro,
yes.
you know, like this is blowing my mind, and it's not just me, right? So Obina, first of all, shout out. It says that's a very good point. What would you do for free? All points made so far, but that's major, and that's true. I think there's a quote that says something around the lines of, if you find what you're passionate about, then you never work a day in your life, and that's right on with that. And
Goals.
then Aja is saying, Scar, yep, fire. Like, I've never thought about it that way. And I only had one point before I let you go to the other
Yeah.
part because I'm enjoying this. It's that,
Likewise.
soccer, for example, taught me that not everything you love loves you back.
Whew, man, you preaching now, brother.
A lot of us like to talk, but not a lot of us are good at communicating. In
Yes.
fact, there used to be, that's a Nigerian thing. There used to be like, things that speakers will say in Nigeria is like, am I communicating? And it sounds very
Mm,
weird. But thinking about it now with a different mindset, I'm like, that's actually a really good question.
yeah.
Because you might be speaking, but you might not be communicating.
Whew.
Because to break that down, what it means is people will say, oh, I'm responsible for what I say, not what you hear. But if you don't care about what I hear, then why are you speaking? Like, if the goal is
Yes.
not for me to understand, why are we even talking?
Wow.
So it doesn't matter what you want to say to me if I don't get the point.
Yeah. Wow.
So completely blew my mind. So you saying
Profound.
that and wrapping it up in a framework that people can actually say and take away, beautiful, beautiful man.
Whew. Man, no, that's dope, bro. Seriously, that communication bridge.
Yep, very key. So, in terms of building up on that second side, what does it take? How does someone become really good at developing hard skills?
Yeah. So I'm a kinetic learner. I feel like most people are or can be to an extent. You need to practice what you play, right? Plain and simple. Don't make excuses. Search for a problem in the world and solve it. I always like to
Mm,
share this quick story of one of my friends in college. You know, we had some math computations doing the crazy radiation physics stuff.
mm,
He went and he learned how to code this 10-line code
mm,
just to create a calculation to solve
mm,
that problem that took us 2 hours and 2 minutes, right?
mm,
It was profound. So that's one. Think about how you can actually apply and be a kinetic learner. Big piece there in terms of cloud and cloud sales engineering. A cloud guru is a great resource. So shout out to them. I think they got acquired by a company a couple years ago, but they're online. They have virtual videos that
mm,
walk you through what is cloud, what is the technology, what does it do.
mm,
So you need to learn things conceptually, right,
mm,
to some extent. Um, and after you learn the concepts, whether it's cloud, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's data, then think about how you can apply those skills in real life. Another big piece I'll say is you have your laptop, right? Most of us this day and age, we have laptops or access to a public library. Go there and pull up what we call the terminal, where you can really talk to the computer and laptop and you can code different things. So go to Google, search for some quick terminal tutorials and frameworks so that you can practice what you play.
mm. That is such beautiful advice. And if I could add anything to it is that I'm someone who runs away from technical concepts. If you guys didn't know that already. But over the past couple years, I've really forced myself to go into the lion's den.
Mm,
And what you realize a lot of the time is that you're not running away from the difficulty, you're just running away from the work, right?
yeah,
Like, it's going to task you and you don't want to do the work.
yeah,
So a lot of the times I just face my fear. And when I get into it, I'm like, it's nothing. Like, what is this? The thing that I recommend for anyone getting into tech, like anyone, get a basic level cloud certification.
yeah,
Even if you don't get the certification, just go through the training, understanding what is a microservice, what is the cloud. And if you're struggling with any of the concepts, we have ChatGPT now. Tell it to explain it to you like a pizza concept. Tell it to explain it to you like riding a bike. The thing is, you can now get context for whatever thing you like with technology, meaning that you don't have any excuse to it's too difficult.
yeah,
And the thing is, even the instructional materials that they build online already assumes that whoever's watching this video doesn't understand it. So they'll bring you in because to get that first opportunity, again, a lot of people are willing to take a chance on you. That's what most people don't get. That's why you have things like the APM programs and all of that. But if you show up to an interview and we can't even have a basic level conversation about some research that you've done, how are you going to learn what I need you to learn in this role?
yeah.
So the way you prove to people that you can learn and grow is already by learning and growing. So learn the cloud and learn data because see, trust me, maybe everybody knows this, but the moment I connected this, it completely changed my life. And bro, I've been in tech for more than a decade, and I'm not even ashamed to say it. I was gonna say I'm ashamed, bro. Only in the last 3 to 4 years did it all come to me. See,
Yes.
technology and the internet is literally data and where it's kept.
Yeah.
So, which is why we talked about cloud data and AI,
That's
right?
it.
If you think about the LLMs, there's data on the back end, right? There's some kind of like reinforcement learning. You put a prompt in there, it goes and finds whatever data it can find and structures that response to give to you. It's no different than a Google search. The only thing
That's
that makes this better is that now, because it's a large language model that has generative properties, is now able to structure that answer in the same way that's almost similar to the way if I ask DJ a question right now, is able to answer me back. That's the magic in there.
Yeah.
But think about it. There's a database somewhere where all of that data is stored, where they're pulling that data from, and it's transferring over.
Man, just said a lot of gems right there, brother. I just really want to emphasize you can't skip the work, right? That's something I'm guilty of it. I'm sure we all have been where I'm like, what's the fastest way I can do this? What's the fastest way I can learn? You can't skip the work. So want to emphasize that. And then I'll leave with four concepts that are really important to cloud computing for everybody out there. First is compute. So search that, read about it, ask ChatGPT what that is. Network, storage, and database. If you can understand those four key crucial concepts, you'll be able to talk tech with folks like Jawan, like myself, at that basic level. And then you can expand into what you like more, whether it's security, data, AI on top of that. So can't skip the work. Research those four topics.
Bro, say it again. You gotta say it again. Say it again.
Can't
Four
skip the
topics.
work. These are the four topics: compute, network, storage, and databases. Change your life. Get into tech.
Bro. You know, it's wild that I'm taking 2 cloud certifications and I've not even thought about it that way.
Right.
Now I see why you make all the big bucks, TJ.
Whoa.
So again, just quick call out, housekeeping. We hope you're enjoying the conversation. Please leave any questions you have for DJ in the chat. First of all, I'm gonna go back to your shout out. Forgive me. You say I'm excited. Thanks for setting up this discussion, Juwan. I appreciate you as well, brother. This is an important discussion by someone who's done it at a high level. Hey, we could all see that. We could see that.
Appreciate you, brother. Always.
Appreciate you. So, question for us both, right? How do you prioritize to ensure how impact and differentiation in your profession? I'm gonna let you go first, DJ.
Great question, Junior. That's almost an existential question. I feel like we're in philosophy class, which is great. You can't skip the work. Oh, stop. So, in terms of prioritization, this is something I battle with, frankly, right? I'm somebody who I'm like the kid in the candy store. I want some Skittles, I want chocolate, I want it all, and I want to do good work with brilliant people, meaningful projects and impact in all that I do, whether it's in my personal family life, my girlfriend, whether it's at work professionally. So what I tend to lean on is what we discussed at the beginning of the call, Junior, writing down your values, right? So think about bumper sticker. So 6 to 8 words, 6 total values max, right? Start there, write that down on a piece of paper, refine them, and have something to go back to. Once you have those values written down, then I can assess in my mind, or whether you want to do a more formal exercise, like a SWOT analysis, for example, to say, hey, does this opportunity match with my values? And does it get me to, and this is the second thing I would encourage each and every person to write down, your goals, your time bound goals. So don't just say, I want to be a rock star, I want to be a techie, etc. Use the SMART method in terms of make it specific, make it measurable, and say, hey, for Q4 of 2025, I want $10,000 in my bank account. Once you have your values and your goals, you can assess and kind of pivot with every decision that you make against those and say, hey, does this map who I am as a person and where I'm trying to be for the next phase of my life? So I know that's a high level answer. It doesn't solve every problem, right? But in terms of prioritization, that's my response there.
High level and great answer. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't know you were.
No. I appreciate it, bro. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the differentiation, because this is something that I've personally struggled with as well. Just, hey, I want to be authentic in the workplace, but I also want to be professional, right? So
Mm,
sometimes I feel that imposter syndrome when talking in a room, maybe with people that don't look like me or are more senior than myself.
mm,
What I have come to find out and experience through trial is people love your authentic self.
mm,
Really, really lean into you and be unapologetic about it, right? Be
mm,
respectful, be a good person. You can't
mm,
just, push people around or talk to anybody any sort of way.
mm,
But the little tweaks and how I talk with my accent or how I might say a joke during a presentation, those are
mm,
the things, that's the human element. That's your secret sauce. So lean
mm,
on that differentiation. Be your authentic
mm,
self.
That is so amazing. Yeah, bruh. You really you're doing it. You're
We're
doing
here.
it on
We're
this
here.
call for
We're here.
sure. The thing that I would say, and it's interesting that I literally just had this conversation with someone today.
Mm,
So to go back, we're talking about product. Like, how do you build great products, right? And it's interesting. It goes back to your response. Great products are built by having very strong visions, and
mm,
we're comparing one e-commerce player versus Amazon. So they were in the game longer than Amazon, but they then wanted to become Amazon, become the everything store. When they were differentiated in the offering that they were trying to give, they were strong margins and doing really well. But trying to be like Amazon literally destroyed their business.
mm.
The flip side of the story, which is crazy, is they were trying to do what Amazon was doing, but not with the purpose that Amazon was doing it. From day one, Amazon was not trying to become a bookstore. They
Right.
wanted to become extremely efficient at delivering products at scale, which meant that, people will talk about things like, oh, but Amazon lost money for the first 7 years. Yes, because the vision was very clear. They
Right.
weren't sparing a dime or a dollar. They just cared about building scale.
Yeah.
And everything they did led them to that point. So even going and becoming the largest cloud provider in the world was, how do we scale our own data operations? And they did a job so well that they can now sell that service to everybody else. But don't forget, that came as a result of obsessing about scale, delivery networks, driver networks, warehousing, all of that. None of those things existed in a silo. It was all part of that vision of who they were and who they wanted to be.
Yes.
So if they buy up all these locations, these brands or whatnot, and you start buying up brands without having your why, again, which is why I said, my brother said everything already. Start with the why.
Yeah.
You're going to be running that rat race, but not getting the outcomes because they knew why they were doing it. And it's interesting because it answers the same question in one. If you figure out who you are and you stick to that and you keep building on that, it leads to that impact, but also differentiates you because a million people can be doing the same thing you're doing, but they'll never get the same results. And I said something, I
Ooh.
said, it's wild that there's literally stores that are 10 minutes away from me, but in between work, school, podcasts, sometimes it's easier for me to just go on Amazon because I know it's going to show up anyway tomorrow.
Yes.
So that vision was not just a vision in somebody's minds. It literally happens today. They weren't the biggest grocery store. They didn't have the most money. The difference was the vision, and it all came together. And I might even say, this is the wild thing. I sorry, like I'm saying this, I'm gonna shut up.
No, this is good. This is dope.
Is that everybody around you buys into it. That's the part that's even wild.
Mm,
So it's like, you're gonna start it and say, I want to become, the baddest, sales engineer that there is. And you start to do everything. So now it's like, oh, I'm reading books to become the baddest sales engineer. Oh, I'm learning tech to become the baddest sales engineer. I want to come and speak on podcasts to become the baddest sales engineer. I'm
yep.
doing all these things to where it then starts to go within your circle where they say, oh, I think you might be the baddest sales engineer. And that starts to grow to where if people hear about sales engineer opportunities, they're going to say, oh, for sure, he's the right person to do it because he's the baddest sales engineer, which is
Yes.
how companies like that grow because they bring in talent will say Amazon wants to become the best this, and I see myself buying into that mission of helping them become the best this.
That buy-in. Woo! You need a podcast.
So, bro, great job, Junior, for sharing this. Bro, you said a lot of great things. This is the second best. The first one was the first thing you said. But again, four concepts important to cloud computing: compute, network, storage, and database. Master those concepts, and you'll be able to talk tech at a basic level, and then be able to branch out. Absolutely,
Ooh, my
absolutely
man
beautiful.
Junior. Appreciate
Bro,
it, brother.
words on marble. Words on marble. We gotta catch that. Bro, don't be mad at me when I tweet that out tomorrow and make it like it's mine.
That's it. We sharing ideas. We sharing.
Okay, so back to it, right? Um, I don't know that you specifically told me how you found your first job, because I know that's the hardest one. Talk
Yep.
me to how that happened, almost as a template to people who are looking to go into sales engineering. Maybe potentially that could also help them out or become a path for them.
Yeah. So I again really leverage and lean and trust in my network. So my older brother, big brother in the fraternity, he's actually still at IBM, killing it. He was a sales engineer at IBM. So I like to ask people who do the job that I'm seeking to do directly. Now, of course, sometimes people won't respond on LinkedIn or what have you, but I was fortunate enough to have that personal, close relationship with them where I could have a candid conversation of what does this really look like and how can I get in?
Mm.
So I applied to the rotational program at IBM, known as Summit. I heeded and listened to the advice of my big brother, and I was fortunate enough to be brought into the program.
Mhm. It's bro. You said so many amazing things, and this one is right up there with that. There's so many like cardinal mistakes that people make, and one of them is not networking or not even doing it the right way. And maybe you can speak to that, right? Like again, of course, you already had that connection,
Right.
but it seems to me like you're the kind of person who built that connection if you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have it. So if you were looking to do it all over again with everything you know now, how would you go from someone who's completely green to finding a way to build a connection with someone and help and having them help you out?
Great question. And it's something that, one, I like to try to just practice regularly. And it's one of my time bound goals each and every quarter of my life, where I either say, hey, every week I need to reach out to somebody new just to get to know them. Go in first is a mindset thing, right? So, with your mindset of, hey, I'm going to put my pride and ego to the side, I'm really going to try to absorb this person and literally just try to learn and understand without trying to get anything else from that encounter or engagement.
Mm,
In terms of like the actions, the practical things,
mm,
LinkedIn is a great medium these days,
mm.
especially. People kind of know it's more professional. I think Jawan, you reached out to me on this, right?
Yeah.
And you lead with genuine curiosity, right? So
Mm,
first action is be able to do your homework, right? So we have Chat GPT, we have Gemini. There's no excuse. You can't skip the work again. So search. If I want to be a sales engineer, what are some of the things that I need? Help me craft this introductory message to this director of sales engineering at XYZ company. Use that as a launching pad. Put aside your pride and ego and really just take the leap. So
mm,
9 times out of 10, I think you said this, Jawan, people are willing to help, right? People want to be open and to feel like they're fulfilled, right? Sharing
mm.
is caring, Junior.
Yeah.
Exactly. um, so use that human influence, use that human mindset to your advantage
Mm,
and genuinely ask. The next big thing is don't be afraid of failure, right?
mm,
Embrace it. There have
mm,
been hundreds of people who have not responded back to my email or call or LinkedIn message. That's okay. That's to be expected. But you got to keep taking those swings, right? So keep taking those swings, and the right people who have the right intent will be able to respond back to you.
Mm.
The third thing I'll say is keep it short and sweet to the point, right? You don't need to write about your whole bio, your whole story. You need to say, hey, I'm interested in XYZ. Make your ask. I like to, everybody's different, but I like to make my ask first to say, hey, do you have 20 minutes to connect over the next 2 weeks? I love what you said about boom, boom, boom. Get one of their articles, get one of their newsletters, something that they've done of impact. Fluff them up, lean into that person, compliment them first. Then you give a brief 2 sentence bio about yourself. I'm DJ Lewis, an aspiring sales engineer. This is where I'm at in life. Would love to just connect and be able to talk through how I'm thinking about boom, boom, boom. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is set an agenda, right?
Mm.
Once you get that interaction, once you get that, yes, let's set up some time on the calendar invite, write down 3 bullets or 3 numbers and say, hey, I want to learn more about you. So again, you're asking about them. People love talking about themselves. Start with that. Second point, okay, now I want to dig into how'd you get into your career, your advice, and a third point, right? Keep it short, sweet, to the point. But you seem so competent, so prepared, so passionate for what you're really doing. And then people are willing to invest time in you if you show those things.
Bruh, this is almost is a mic drop. It's not almost. It is. It is. Like if most people knew this, like everybody will be winning right now. Everybody
Yep.
will be winning. It's like we overcomplicate, or sometimes we get in front of ourselves. I've seen outreach. Sometimes I feel like people are coming to brag to me. I'm like, wait, do I need help or do you need help?
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's like you have to understand that thing. And I think the best way to think about it is this. If you're making an ask of someone to pour into you, even in that ask, can you pour into them?
Yes.
Because it's like we might not like to admit it, right? But if you had, let me paint a scenario of two people, right? You have two friends, right? Whenever you go out, they want to pay for dinner. You want to pay, they say, no, no, I got it. And then you have a friend who, every time you go out, there's an excuse. Oh my God, you got me. Like I forgot my wallet. They're both nice. They're both funny to be around. They're both great. If both of them call you on the same night and say, let's hang out, who are you going for?
You already know the friend that gives, the friend that will pay the bill.
And think about it this way. This is the point I don't want people to miss, right? It's not even because you expect them to pay, but you don't feel a financial pressure around them.
Yes.
So it's not because, you telling someone, I read your book or I've seen your podcast or this was great. They don't need, like, they're going to be fine if you don't say that to them. But being around a generous person is a nice feeling. It
Yes.
takes the pressure away. It almost, like, think about it. It's almost like being in business class or being in economy. Like everybody wants to be, even if it's not about being in business class, you just like being in that environment. And if
Yep.
you create that energy for people to feel like I'm in this place of abundance, I'm in this space of appreciation, you just open up that door for people to want to give.
Ooh, we can all eat. We can all win.
Yep, we could all win. We could all win.
Shout out to
So
Aja Dukes. Woo, embrace
yeah,
failures.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, people were dropping a lot of gems in this one. In this one. Like I mean, that's DJ, we're just all following your footsteps.
That's it.
And this is another great question. So any challenges you faced when starting out in tech, what challenges do you currently have as a sales engineer today? And any ideas how you overcome current challenges? Great question.
Woo. Junior with the heat. Good questions, man. Um, First and foremost, I'll say yes, absolutely. Many challenges faced in tech. First, I'll speak from the human element, right? I mentioned um, just not feeling competent sometimes, not feeling like I'm in the right place, right? I'm in the right room. So that imposter syndrome is very real. And it's important to know who you are again, to go back to that anchor to address that. A lot of people don't look like us, right? In tech, there's some, it's growing, but there aren't a lot of black faces in tech. There aren't enough, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and especially at the C-suite level, right? Um, there was a study. Again, I'm in business school as well, so all these studies, and they said that in technology leadership, 60% of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 are
Mm,
South Asian, right?
mm,
So our South Asian counterparts, love them. A lot of great people in tech,
mm,
but it's hard when you're in spaces and you can't always connect culturally,
mm,
with people. So what did I have to do in that scenario? Be open to other cultures, right?
mm,
Be open to listen and understand, like, oh, you have that holiday or you have this particular diet. Why is that? Ask about people's family, ask about people's kids, ask about what they are passionate about and what they love. And you'll see them light up and just open up to you. And you'll be able to exchange and just get the game.
mm.
Other big piece I'll talk through, and this is, I feel like in terms of leadership and sales engineering, is not knowing what to do next, being on the spot and in a presentation and having to almost fake it till you make it, right?
Mm,
Now, the people who I've seen do this well are just genuine humans. They say, hey, I don't understand this question, for example, but I'll get back to you in XYZ time frame, right? So be honest, be authentic. Those are some challenges as a sales engineer and leader that I face every day.
It's interesting you said that because literally I made a tweet about this recently where I was saying like, if you don't know the answer in an interview, um, don't fake it.
Yep.
Your interviewer most likely can tell that you're faking it, and it burns that bridge. Tell them you don't know it and pivot to something that you do know, right?
That's it.
Uh, I think it's because again, if you fake it and they really need it, you're more like less likely, and I may or may not be speaking from experience, but no, it's bad. It's bad, and it looks bad because all of a sudden now we can call into question everything else that you said, right? Like, did you really know that, or were you also making that up? Even though
Yeah.
you might not have, but we don't think that anymore, right? We're thinking very differently about you right now, and like I think that honesty and that willingness to put work, and that's the thing that I also realize is that we don't sometimes give ourselves grace as human beings, right? Like
Whew.
10 years ago, I didn't know anything. Well, I mean, I did know something about the cloud, but not nowhere near as much as I knew now, right?
Right.
And I know far less than I'm probably going to know in 5 years. So understanding that knowledge is a continuous journey, and we'll also always have to be on that. And sometimes, because again, the stage is like, I'm representing this huge company, so I almost have to know it all. But you don't.
You don't.
You literally don't.
The best do not.
The best do not. But it's like, how can you make somebody feel comfortable in you not knowing and filling that gap? Because sometimes it's not a trap. Like they're literally not trying to trick you. They just want to know.
They just want to know.
Yeah,
uh,
but you did speak to something. I'm sorry that I really want to get to real quickly, right?
yeah.
About because, and I'm speaking maybe specifically to Black men, right?
Mhm.
Um, I see a lot of these conversations on Twitter. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. And I see, sometimes where people go the route of, I almost don't want to walk in corporate America because I feel like I'm selling myself out,
Mm.
right? So talk through, like, first of all, being real to yourself and being doing your job, and also sometimes is that discomfort speaking, and how willing are you to actually go to where you're not comfortable to be able to grow as a person and as a leader?
Whew. Another great set of questions, bro. I think that again, we keep this episode got to be start with why or something like that because you have to know yourself so well. And like you said, learning is a continuous journey. So give yourself grace. I love what you said there. I think that every cup of tea is not everybody's cup of tea, and that's
Mm,
okay, right? So that's one. I feel like the human mind in general, we like to generalize things and categorize. We like to
mm,
say, "Oh, you're a black man, you're here. You're a white woman, you're
mm,
there." It's not
mm,
the case.
mm.
Human life is not as binary as we've made these computers.
Got it.
So, keeping in mind that it's okay if some brothers, some sisters go in and lean into corporate America. It's also
Mm,
great that they shy away from that and they're more entrepreneurial, right?
mm,
What's great about our world is that each person can find their place and lean on their why and their strengths and their reason and thrive, right?
mm,
So if you feel like you're faking it in corporate as a black man, fine. That's no problem. Be an
mm,
entrepreneur.
mm,
I'm somebody who I'm comfortable at work in corporate, but I also am thinking about entrepreneurship and I'm fine with that.
mm,
We need it all. That's
mm,
true diversity, right? We
mm,
need business diversity, every sense and form of the word.
mm,
As long as you're vulnerable and authentic with yourself, you're going to win in any stage. Was
mm,
corporate America built for us? Who knows? But we're here now and we're growing
mm,
and we're helping each other out,
mm.
pulling each other into corporate. So let's make it what we want it to be, right?
Mm. Bro, that's an amazing response, right? And I think there was something that you said there in the end that I almost want to double click on, right? Because I said that specifically almost to be like, sometimes there's this expectation that we got to be tough and we got to be real and we got to be, and again, bro, you know this probably, we both know this probably better than anyone else, right? It's not just an expectation, it's a lived experience.
Yeah.
But my question was more to that last piece about vulnerability, right? To where if it was a decision and a calculated thing that you've done and said, this is where I want to be, right? I'm absolutely with that. I love it. But how does someone, for example, who maybe is following the vision or the mindset or this box, if you like, what is a good recipe to get out of it and maybe try it or maybe even test it out and see if it's something you want to do. And I'll probably add this, right? Bro, I've been an artist. I would have
Mm,
never thought like I could work in corporate, right?
yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur for most of my career. You know, I've even between my, corporate life, I've dabbled into entrepreneurship. So can never hate on that. But it's that even if I go back into business tomorrow, I'll be a much better business person
Yes.
because of the things I've seen, like organizational structure, how to
Yes.
do certain things the right way, how organizations think about risk. I gave an example on something I spoke about recently, where two brothers who founded like this fintech company ended up going to jail because they didn't do proper risk management.
Mm,
If they came out of a large, financial organization, they probably don't get into that mess. No, they weren't scammers. They weren't criminals. They
wow.
literally made an honest mistake.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of like the question is like, how does someone find their real self and really test opportunities, not necessarily around any stereotype or misconceptions, but really like, again, maybe to your original question, like starting with a why. Is there a framework to think about what's right for you versus not, and cutting out the noise?
Whew. Great question. So For me, it's a risk assessment, right?
Mm,
And you could think about it like investing your money in the stock market. You talk to a financial advisor, they'll ask you, what's your risk tolerance? Are you somebody who's going to be super aggressive, pour into stocks that their price might change very rapidly? Or do you want to be a little more conservative and have more bonds, for example, or gold in your investment portfolio? So that's one thing,
mm,
figuring out what's your risk tolerance as a person.
mm,
Now, how you can practically figure this out is, again, take out that pen and paper, take out that notepad on your phone and say, okay, am I able to provide the basic needs for myself, my loved ones and family, anybody who's dependent upon me, right?
mm,
We all want to eat, we all want to sleep somewhere safe, we all want running water ideally. These essentials are key. Okay, how much money do you need to bring in every month, every week to support your basic needs?
mm,
Some people are very fortunate and they might have a family member who has a trust fund or family office. They can afford to take a hiatus after college or something and just explore and be their basic needs are still met. A lot of us, that's not the case, right? We still need to figure out, even I assume when you were an artist, you still had to figure out how to eat, right?
yep.
So once you map out your basic needs and you're able to bring in enough money or whatever you need to meet those, then you can start thinking about, okay, now I can take a risk. I can take a pay cut to go for an apprenticeship for 6 months to learn some skills and get some hands-on experience. I can take a pay cut from a full-time job and go and get a full-time MBA,
Mm,
or go and backtrack and go to an internship. So trying things out, hands-on learning is the way. You can't skip the work. You need the experience in some capacity. And it's not a corporate ladder. One of my mentors told me it's more like a corporate jungle gym, right? Where you're
mm.
going to go up the monkey bars, down the slide sometimes, sidestep to this role. It's okay that you're not CEO after 5 years. So give yourself grace, be patient, really map and write down your risk tolerance, your why, your goals.
Bruh. I mean, that's such a good place to land it, bro. You've thrown a lot of good stuff out at folks. Like, I'm hoping that everybody's caught that. Like, this has been great. Before we wrap up, though, we usually like give you a chance to shout out, anyone, any books, any things that you got coming out, things you want people to watch out for, your new movie, whatever that is. Let the
Man,
people know.
yeah. First and foremost, just want to shout out Jawan, right? Thank you, brother, for reaching out, being intentional, providing this opportunity. I want to thank God. I'm a faith and God fearing man. So I want to thank God for this opportunity. I want to thank my girlfriend, Aja Dukes. She's been dropping some gems, pulling some gems. Thank you for tuning in, babe. And then my good friend, Junior. Thanks for tapping in as well and being interactive. I have some things coming out in the pipeline. I'm searching for a small business to acquire on the side. So if you're either a financial or operating partner that wants to get into small business acquisition, hit me up. LinkedIn, DJ Lewis, Instagram, the DJ Lewis. Love y'all and just appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Bro. Even the outro even feels like a professional outro. but thank you so much. And then also we got to chat about the small business thing. But thanks so
Hey,
much, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for sticking with us tonight. It's been absolutely real. Join us again next Thursday for another amazing episode of Working in Tech, where we have another professional in a different tech job coming to tell us about what the role is about, how you can get in, practical steps. I mean, you guys have seen how good this one is, so you can trust the product and join us again next Thursday when we'll be having a different guest and be discussing a different topic. That's it from myself and AJ.